Good evening. I'm Joe Collins. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. Opening statements in the trial for George Wagner IV began today in Pike County. Wagner faces murder and other charges for his alleged involvement in the murder of seven. George Wagner is not believed to have killed any of the victims. He allegedly did so by participating George Wagner is not believed to have killed any of the victims. He allegedly did participate in favor of voting the murders with his family. Special prosecutors Angela Kanipa says to the jury, this was not a crime of passion, this was not in a fit of rage, this was not in self-defense. These murders occurred after the Wagners spent months of plotting and planning and executing the murder of 8 members of the same family. 6 students were injured and sent to the hospital this morning after a bus crash in Wayne County, West Virginia. Officials say approximately 40 students, a mixture of Fort Gate Elementary students and Tolja High School students, were on board at the time of the accident along Mill Creek Road in Fort Gay. Dispatchers tell WSAZ.com the bus driver lost control and crashed into a utility pole. Superintendent Todd Alexander said he learned of the accident after a report the elementary and other schools' power was out. And now we'll throw it over to Aaron for first weather.
Thank you very much, Joe. And right now, sorry for this brief technical difficulty. And for looking at the weather right now, 71 degrees in Athens. It's partly cloudy, but we're looking at very, very nice weather outside. So hopefully you've been able to get outside and really enjoy that. Because as you can see on our radar loop, you can see not much happening above us right now. And in fact, that rain has since moved out towards the east and out here towards the west. Not much happening, so we're smooth sailing heading into tonight. But right now, you can see that temperatures are sticking in the mid to low 70s, with 72 being the peak down here in Huntington. We got 75 over here in Parkersburg, but over towards our east or even our northern parts, it's going to be 70 degrees in Lancaster and 72 degrees in Athens. And that's actually going to begin to stick around heading into tonight. We're looking at a low of 53 degrees. Again, mostly clear, and I'll talk about in my very full forecast about how we can expect a high pressure system to kind of dominate over our region, which is going to bring some very nice, pleasant conditions for the majority of the week. Back to you, Joe.
Thanks, Aaron. Chancey will be getting a new historical marker to honor the Chancey Boys. The 3 men lived in Chancey and were volunteers in the Civil War. One died while serving in the war, and the other 2 died after. Following the war, one became a practicing doctor, and the others helped newly freed African Americans. Dozens of people around the state gathered in Chancey to unveil the marker. The organizer of the event thinks it's important not to forget this history.
And now people, visitors of that park, which are going to be quite a few because it's the Trailhead Park.
The marker will be placed in Dover Township Park. Ohio University will be getting a $3 million grant to help train the next generation of professionals working in the semiconductor industry. The university will serve as the lead intuition for the Appalachian semiconductor educational and technical ecosystem. The grant is in part of the Intel Semiconductor Education and Research Program for Ohio. It was announced last week in conjunction with groundbreaking of the company's new plant in New Albany. Intel expects this program to produce 9,000 graduates for the industry and provide more than 2,300 scholarships. The process to select Ohio University's 23rd president took a step forward recently with the announcements of who will be on the search committee. The committee is made up of representatives from across the community and help further suggest the new president of OU. OU spokesman Jim Saban said, quote, "The search committee has not yet met and doesn't have a meeting scheduled." Also, Athens Mayor Steve Patterson happens to be a member of this committee. Once chosen, the new president's term is expected to begin following President Hugh Sherman's 2-year term, which is set to conclude on June 30th, 2023. The Ohio Republican Party has had 3 chairs of the party in the past 6 years. Current chair Bob Buttigieg was able to hold on to his job at a central committee meeting in Columbus this past Friday. Committee members are frustrated with the party's endorsement of Governor Mike DeWine in the May primary. Others on the GOP have handled its finances. After over an hour of debate, Buttigieg was able to conduct the chair meeting without being forced to bring up a vote to force him out. Buttigieg declined to comment on whether he will run again at the next meeting. With Election Day less than 2 months away and new poll shows the two candidates vying for one of Ohio's Senate seats neck and neck. The USA Today Network Ohio Suffolk University poll showed J.D. Vance and U.S. Representative Tim Ryan are tied in the race to replace retiring Republican Senator Rob Portman. The Democratic congressman maintained a small lead compared to Vance. The Cincinnati Enquirer reports that right now it is both neck and neck. The race could help determine which party controls the Senate. That right now is a contest between Democrats and Republicans. Vance is more popular among voters worried about the economy and inflation, and Ryan is holding steady with independent voters. The United Kingdom continues to mourn the loss of Queen Elizabeth II. That story returns, and also Ukrainian forces continue to make counter-offensive advances in the fight against the Russian military. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
Wow.
On Finding Your Roots, actor Jeff Goldblum,
Both my dad and my mom were Nouveau Americans.
radio host Terry Gross,
I know very little about my ancestry.
and comedian podcaster Mark Maron.
Both my grandparents spoke Yiddish when they didn't want me to understand what they were saying.
Ancestors lost.
It's horrible.
Well, I didn't know that.
Stories that survive.
I don't know how they did it.
Finding Your Roots.
Tuesday at 8 on WOUB.
A few days ago, as we were taking a stroll around our neighborhood square, Father began to talk about going into hiding. He sounded so serious that I felt scared. Don't you worry, we'll take care of everything. Just enjoy your carefree life while you can.
Southeast Ohio football is as exciting as ever, and Gridiron Glory covers all the action from your team. 8 conferences bring the biggest stories from the 740, whether it's on our show every Friday night or on social media as one of our many digital games. So follow along because Gridiron Glory is about more than just winning. It's community, it's pride, and it's tradition. So remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow Vintage Birmingham.
Putting things like this grotesque jug in your house is an acquired taste. I mean, have y'all ever thought about putting it in your house?
No. I'm glad I got them from my mother before
Keep
she
them
saw
out of the garage.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yes, it is.
You must have been Grandma's favorite.
That's it. How'd you know?
Guess which values went up, down, or stayed the same next time on Antiques Roadshow.
Monday at 8 on WOUB.
Welcome back. Mourners around the United Kingdom will have a final opportunity to pay respects to Queen Elizabeth II this week. Her coffin was moved to Edinburgh, where it will remain until Tuesday before moving to London. Isabel Rosales is in London with how UK crowds are honoring their late queen.
Crowds of mourners gathered in Edinburgh, Scotland Monday to pay their final respects to Queen Elizabeth II.
Sort of a grandmother to us all. It's not just a loss of a monarch, or it's a loss of some, like a family member.
People line the streets to watch her coffin be moved from Holyrood House to St. Giles Cathedral, where she will lie until Tuesday. Her remains will then be taken to Buckingham Palace in London. Then on Wednesday, the Queen will lie in state at Westminster Hall until her funeral on the 19th. As crowds say goodbye to their beloved late Queen, King Charles III addressed Parliament for the first time since becoming king, saying, "I am deeply grateful for the addresses of condolence by the House of Lords and the House of Commons, which so touchingly encompass what our late sovereign, my beloved mother, the Queen, meant to us all." Meanwhile, leaders from across the globe are paying tribute to her late majesty.
She's reigned for all 7 Saudi kings since the founding of the kingdom in 1932, so it's a remarkable relationship.
And the president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, arriving at the residence of the British ambassador and signing the condolence book. A period of mourning rippling across the world. In London, I'm Isabel Rosales reporting.
President Biden plans to attend the Queen's funeral on September 19th. Biden will be joined by an official delegation, but no word has come out yet on who will be with him. Geolocated images and videos show Ukrainian forces have taken control of yet another critical town in the Donetsk region. This just the latest sign of success in Ukraine's ongoing counteroffensive efforts against Russian forces in the east. Chris Wynn is in Washington with the latest on the conflict.
In northeastern Ukraine, success on the battlefield for Ukrainian forces as they roll through Russian defenses in the Kharkiv region.
We just cannot allow Russia to continue the same occupation that they started back in 2014.
Ukraine retaking more than 1,100 square miles of eastern territory in a massive counteroffensive, more than Russian troops have captured in all their operations since April.
We will liberate all Ukraine because this is what we have to do, not only to restore our territorial integrity, but to save all of our people who are under occupation.
Ukrainian defense officials also pointing to recent progress in the southern Kherson region as they demand Russian troops surrender. Meanwhile, negotiations continue over pausing military action in and around the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant amid fears of a catastrophic meltdown.
What we need here, really, is Ukraine.
I'm Chris Wynn reporting.
The Russian Ministry of Defense announced Saturday that they're deciding to regroup Russian troops in Balakleya and Izum and redirecting their efforts in the Donetsk region. It's a matter of national security. That's why the Justice Department says it wants access to classified documents seized from former President Donald Trump's home. A judge has ruled a special master should go through them first. Monday morning, Trump's legal team urged the court to not grant the Justice Department's request for further access. The Justice Department says it needs continued access to the documents seized from Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. According to the DOJ, it's a matter of national security. A judge has paused the DOJ's review of the documents. She wants to appoint a special master to filter out potentially privileged information first, but the Justice Department says it needs to see the documents now. The Justice Department also is appealing the judge's decision to appoint a special master. Coming up later, whether you should get the COVID booster shot or wait until the updated COVID shot is administered. That story's still ahead.
And weather's been absolutely beautiful recently. I'll talk about my full forecast when our next weather maker might enter our region, but make sure you check us out over the break on all of our social medias. We got social media with Twitter, Facebook, as well as YouTube.
For generations, they've held this land with tooth and claw for their family.
It's a family unit, one, very strong.
For their survival.
Go, Simba. Run, boy. Run, run, run.
For their pride.
It's a real drama, and it's unfolding right in front of you.
Lion, the rise and fall of the Marsh Pride. Wednesday, September 14th on PBS and the PBS app.
Wow.
On Finding Your Roots, actor Jeff Goldblum.
Both my dad and my mom were nouveau Americans.
Radio host Terry Gross.
I know very little about my ancestry.
And comedian podcaster Mark Maron.
Both my grandparents spoke Yiddish when they didn't want me to understand what they were saying.
Ancestors lost.
It's horrible.
Well, I didn't know that.
Stories that survive.
I don't know how they did it.
Finding Your Roots.
Tuesday at 8 on WOUB.
Next time on Antiques Roadshow Vintage Birmingham.
Putting things like this grotesque jug in your house is an acquired taste. I mean, have y'all ever thought about putting it in your house?
No. I'm glad I got them from my mother before
Keep
she
them
sold
out of the garage. Oh my goodness.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yes, it is.
You must have been Grandma's favorite.
That's it. How'd you know?
Guess which values went up, down, or stayed the same next time on Antiques Roadshow.
Monday at 8 on WOUB.
An African wilderness out of balance.
When you remove predators from the story, things start to unravel. Are you ready?
How fear functions in nature was completely unknown.
What happens when you put fear back into the equation?
Now that nature is coming back, to see this difference, it's amazing.
Nature's Fear Factor on Nova.
Wednesday at 10:30 on WOUB.
Newswatch, sorry for that brief technical difficulty, but fear not, I've got your weather prepared right now. Again, outside your window, we're seeing mostly sunny skies. That temperature is at a very nice temperature, 72 degrees. Makes for a beautiful day here in Athens, Ohio, and that temperature overnight low is going to be 53 degrees. You might want to grab that jacket if you have any late night plans or even early morning plans. But again, if we look at our radar, you can see that right here, there's really not much happening. Even out here towards the west, you can see the system that is starting to push out towards the east. It's beginning to die here in Indiana. And so by the time it reaches us here in Athens, it's not really going to start any chaos in our region, which makes for a great rest of our week, starting with the local radar. Excuse me, sorry about that. We're going to actually start talking about tonight. Again, that overnight low is going to be 53 degrees, mostly clear, and don't you worry, it's going to feel very beautiful outside because of those clouds beginning to clear, and as we move into tomorrow, you'll begin to see that weather will persist. And heading again into tomorrow, you can see there's really not much happening. You can see that cold front right here that has since pushed out eastward. That is what caused a little bit of chaos over the weekend, those chances for rain. Even this morning, we saw a little bit of rain showers here in Athens. That's since moved out towards the east, and there's not much happening out here towards the west, excuse me. So as that begins to push eastward, we can expect to see partly sunny skies as soon as tomorrow, with that high reaching 73 degrees. Absolutely beautiful. You're going to want to take your dog outside, make sure it's a great hiking day even. And that temperature is going to start dropping into the mid to low 50s tomorrow overnight. And that's going to be because of that cold front that has moved in, as well as starting to feel like fall. I don't know about you, but I'm very excited. And so tomorrow night, again, not much happening as far as weather goes, but that's going to make for a beautiful rest couple of your days. And so if we head into Thursday, we can see that high pressure has since entered the region, and high pressure is indicative, of very dry conditions, very pleasant conditions. And so over the next couple of days, you're going to want to see these blue H's, because that means you can go outside, really enjoy the seasonal changes, watch the leaves kind of change a little bit. Definitely going to want to take advantage. I know here in Athens, we got a lot of different hiking trails. You're going to want to go ahead and take advantage of that, especially heading into the next couple of days. You're going to see that mostly sunny skies are going to stick around. Temperatures are going to begin to rise on Wednesday, going to make for a little bit of an uncomfortable transition. 79 degrees, and then it's actually going to keep increasing into Thursday. 82 degrees, but again, that sun will be shining. It's going to be a beautiful rest of the week. And if we expand it to our 7-day outlook, you can see that on Friday, again, you're going to see temperatures in the mid to low 80s, 81 here in Athens and around the general region. It's going to stick around throughout the weekend, so if you have any weekend plans, you can be sure to really enjoy that weekend as that sun will continue to shine. Temperatures overnight are going to be relatively comfortable in the mid to upper 50s and stretching as high as 65 on Sunday. But again, mostly sunny skies are going to make for beautiful days. We are beginning to track a system moving into Monday, that 30% chance of showers. It's a little bit too far in advance to certainly say that that is something that we're really going to watch, but it's just something that the weather models are sort of indicating to us here at the station. But again, we don't expect too much chaos to stir up that soon because we have a beautiful rest of the week. But again, heading into next week, things are very subject to change. And with that 86, expect things to feel a little uncomfortable with humidity being really high that day as well. So make sure, again, to really get the most out of this week and including the weekend, because as soon as Monday, we could be seeing some pretty uncomfortable weather. Back to you, Joe.
The weather was beautiful this week. Thanks, Aaron. People ages 12 and older in the U.S. are now eligible to get their first updated COVID-19 vaccine booster. But some people are questioning whether to rush out and get the booster or wait. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither gets all the answers from a medical expert.
They're updated boosters designed to target both the original strain of coronavirus and Omicron subvariants BA4 and BA5. Dr. Lena Nguyen says reformulated vaccines like these could one day become routine.
It's something that's done for the flu vaccine every year, that to predict the new emerging variants, new emerging strains, that there is an updated booster.
The CDC recommends that everyone 12 and older get the updated booster as long as they've already had their primary series of shots, but they should wait at least 2 months since their last vaccine dose. People 18 and over can get either the updated Pfizer or Moderna shot, while those 12 and up are eligible for an updated Pfizer shot. Nguyen says certain groups should go get the booster right away.
It is individuals who are 50 and older with chronic medical illnesses, individuals who have not yet gotten any vaccine this year. They should absolutely go ahead and get that reformulated booster as soon as possible.
Wynn says if you've just recovered from COVID, you can probably wait about 3 months before getting the updated booster because the risk of reinfection in that time period is very low. As for children under 12 who are not eligible for the latest shot,
I'm sure that this reformulated booster is also going to be made available for younger children, but at this point, I would not worry about kids under the age of 12.
On the other hand, Wynn urges parents with kids under 12 who haven't been vaccinated to go get those shots, even if your children have been recently infected with the coronavirus. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Since flu season is expected to be harsh, officials recommend being up to date on both flu and COVID-19 vaccinations, especially important as we head into fall and winter.
Coming up in sports, the Ohio football team faces a tough challenge on the road against the Penn State Nittany Lions. Find out how they fared and more when Newswatch returns.
Masters of stealth. Leopards are solitary creatures. But this is no ordinary leopard. She is a mother, a force of nature, protector, provider, and teacher. And in this African adventure, she'll do whatever it takes to preserve her legacy.
Wednesday at 8 on WOUB.
For generations, they've held this land with tooth and claw for their family.
It's a family unit, one, very strong.
For their survival.
Go, Simba. Run, boy. Run, run, run.
For their pride.
It's a real drama, and it's unfolding right in front of you.
Lion, the rise and fall of the Marsh Pride. Wednesday, September 14th on PBS and the PBS app.
Charlie Pride wanted to become the next Jackie Robinson.
Playing in the Negro League, the guys heard my voice and they said, man, you make a lot of money singing. You sing pretty good.
Instead, he became the first black country music superstar.
He sang it so much better than so many of the good country artists at the time.
Here's an angel, good morning.
Look for Charlie Pride.
The Jackie Robinson of country music.
On American Masters.
Thursday at 9 on WOUB.
Coming up on Craft in America.
Music is one of the oldest ways of communication. For hundreds of years, we were singing with our voices, we were making instruments.
The trumpets are custom made for each player, which almost nobody on the planet does.
It's a work of art just sitting on a stand, but in the hands of a musician, it turns into an expressive paintbrush for music.
Thursday at 10 on WOUB.
The Ohio football team had a tough test this weekend on the road at Penn State. Ahead of the game, Coach Tim Albin said that playing in Beaver Stadium would be the noisiest place they've played in years, but the Bobcats still hope to pull off the upset. Ohio pumped the crowd noise into their stadium in practice this week, but they faced the real deal Saturday. Pick it up late first quarter. Penn State's already up 7-0 when Nicholas Singleton explodes. Yeah, you're not catching him. 70 yards for the touchdown. He finished with 2 touchdowns and 179 yards on just 10 carries in the game. Meanwhile, the Bobcats struggled to get anything going, leading to Penn State scoring 19 unanswered points to start the game and put Ohio in a big hole. The Bobcats put a decent drive together to score late in the first half, but the Nittany Lions had their way with them throughout the game, scoring as they pleased. Penn State covered the 28-point spread, beating the Bobcats handily 46-10, and Coach Albin discussed his team's current status after the blowout loss.
These guys want to be good. We love coaching them. We're going to continue to raise the bar and take the teachable moments and forge ahead.
The Bobcats will look to lick their wounds as they prepare for another tough out-of-conference matchup when they hit the road again to play the Iowa State Cyclones this Saturday. Meanwhile, college football isn't the only thing that was happening this weekend, as high school football played its Week 4 slate of games this past Friday. Our game of the week featured the Western Brown Broncos, led by the nation's passing leader Drew Novak, versus Jacob Winter and the Jackson Ironmen. Novak put on a brilliant display, throwing for 3 touchdowns, including this scrambling strike. But Winters took this quarterback battle into his own hands, quite literally. While playing defense, he snagged a pick-6 against Novak, and later in the game, threw the game-winning touchdown to put the Ironmen on top, 41-35, avenging their playoff loss to Western Brown last year. To watch more high school football action in the 740, tune in to Gridiron Glory Friday night at 11:30. Heading over to the NFL, the Cincinnati Bengals began their journey back to the Super Bowl yesterday in their season opener at home against the rival Pittsburgh Steelers. The game did not go as planned for the defending AFC champion, to say the least, with Joe Burrow uncharacteristically throwing 4 picks and losing a fumble. Despite the -5 turnover differential, Cincinnati had chances to win, but the absence of long snapper Clark Harris was felt as the PAT unit struggled with snap issues, giving the Steelers the win in overtime, 23-20. In other Ohio sports, the Ohio soccer team traveled to South Bend to face the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, looking to extend its 3-game winning streak. Unfortunately for them, they lost, but they were tied 1-1 at halftime. But Notre Dame pulled away, scoring 2 goals in the first 10 minutes of the second half to break the streak for the Bobcats. Senior forward Abby Townsend was the only goal scorer on the night, as the first-team All-MAC players logged 7 combined goals and assists in 6 matches in a blazing start to the 2022 season. Another win streak came to an end this weekend, unfortunately, as the Ohio field hockey team snapped their 3-game undefeated run to start the season in a 4-1 loss against Towson. Anouk Plain got the Bobcats on the scoreboard first, but shortly after, the Tigers racked up 4 goals in succession to give Ohio its first loss of the year. The Bobcats will look to get back to winning ways against rival Miami this Friday. I am still reeling about that Bengals game, and it stinks because Evan McPherson had a 59-yard field goal, and then obviously with the long snapper issues, it just all fell apart.
Yeah, and what a week of football, really. College football, so many upsets. NFL, the big part, though, to me, was Cade York, rookie kicker of the Cleveland Browns, hitting a 58-yard field goal to win the game. Their first win since 2004 in Week 1.
All right, you win, Mr. Browns fan.
Well, let's throw it over to Aaron with final weather.
Thank you, Joe. Tonight we're actually looking at very, very pleasant conditions. It's again going to be mostly clear and a low of 53 degrees. Sorry about the technical difficulty right now, but go ahead and just keep listening to my full forecast because it's going to be a beautiful rest of the week, guys. We're talking partly sunny skies from now through the end of the weekend. So I know you were talking a little bit about Gridiron Glory. I report for them on the side, so we can expect some really nice weather on Friday, especially with football now just starting out with the NFL. It's going to be an absolutely beautiful rest of the week. We are tracking a little bit of rain starting next week, but nothing to worry about in the time being. We can start to see some very sunny skies as soon as tomorrow.
Exactly, and I can't tell you how much fall is such a beautiful time of the year, and honestly one of my favorite holidays. But going back to fall, the Houston Texans used their season opener Sunday to honor the 21 victims of the Uvalde Elementary School shooting. The Texans hosted the Uvalde High School football team and wore Uvalde Strong decals on their helmets. The high school players had their travel paid for by the Texans, along with local grocery chain H-E-B, and even got to watch the game from a suite. Uvalde's senior linebacker said it was the first time most of his team
Support comes from Dean Heating and Cooling, keeping homes cool all summer with Tempstar. Dean Heating and Cooling provides HVAC service and installation in the Athens area, featuring Tempstar quality you can feel. Support comes from Goldsberry Wealth Strategies and